Joining us now, Vice Chair of the Biden Institute at the University of Delaware, Valerie Biden Owens. She is the first woman in U.S. history to have run a presidential campaign, among many others. The author of the new memoir, Growing Up Biden. I loved it. Val, it's great to see you. You know, you really bring us into the family with this book. You really feel like you get a sense of what it's like to grow up Biden and how life was sort of like a bumper car ride. So many ups and downs and bumps along the way, but it's such a story of siblings having each other's backs. There's so many incredible stories of challenge in this book.
Well, I'm a storyteller, and the book is about the magic of family. And, you know, when I was writing it, there's so many people, ordinary families, like middle-class American families like ours growing up in the mid-20th century. And even though there are separate stories for each family, there are common threads that come together to mesh and make the fabric of family. And that's commitment and loyalty and love. It's heartbreak, it's disappointment, it's loss. All of these threads show that we have so much in common. And I hope that when somebody picks up the book, that he or she will see themselves in the book, or see, oh, that's my uncle, or gosh, I remember something like that. And that it will bring a smile to their face. And also, I want to express, it's my writing, and it's about how much joy and love it was for me growing up Biden. So the book's a lot about connections. We all share a whole lot more than we realize.
There's a lot of stories in here, and by the way, I really hear your voice in the book when I read it. A lot of stories of sibling sacrifice. And we really, as a reader, learn so much more about Nelia and Amy and that chapter of the president's life than we ever have. The horrific accident that took President Biden's wife and baby, and the searing moments as you and your brother left the Capitol and flew home upon hearing the news. But what's so incredible is how the family just stepped up, moved in, did whatever it took to get through. And I mean, I'm going to cry if we talk about it, but like even Jimmy and the Christmas tree. I mean, it's like siblings stepping up. It's like showing the depths of a bond between brothers and sisters in a way that we hadn't seen before.
Well, Mika, when we grew up, my mom and dad instilled in us that there was family, and then there's family, and there was family. And we were raised with three pillars: that family, faith, and a responsibility to take care of each other. And then that take care of each other then extended into the greater community at large. So there's a saying in the family that if you have to ask, it's too late. So when you're close, and you know what I'm talking about with your brothers, when you're close, you know, you take pride and pleasure and joy in all of the good things. But if you do that, then you have to take the bad things that come along too, because there's just no accounting for what life dishes out to you. There's just accounting for how you deal with it. I did something when I moved in after the horrific accident when Nelia and the baby were killed. I did something that my brothers would have done for me in a heartbeat had it been switched. I moved in and I told my brother, I said, look, I'm coming. I'll help you with the boys, and I'll stay until it's time to go. And even though it was a really horrible time, it was also a joyful time, a wondrous time of healing and of all coming together and, you know, making it through, moving forward. Like my dad said, it's not how often you get knocked down, it's how quickly you get back up. And that's what we learned, to be resilient and to keep moving forward, as my mother would say, with the help of God and the goodwill of the neighbors. You know, we just keep moving.
Tell our friends that are watching right now, Val, about Jimmy and the Christmas tree.
November 7th, Joe's elected the youngest senator at the time. We thought the world's his oyster. He's the bright hope of the Democratic Party. He's a handsome young man, beautiful wife, 3 young children. 6 weeks later, December 18th, our world turned upside down. Tractor trailer broadsides Nelia and the 3 children in the car, Nelia and the baby, Amy, who were immediately killed, and Bo and Hunt were in the hospital for some time. They had serious injuries. And this was December 18th. And it became clear, because of the injuries with the boys, that they were going to be in the hospital for several weeks. So Christmas came, and the boys are 2 and 3 at this point. They turned 3 and 4 in February. And we wanted a Christmas. We wanted a Christmas tree. So Jimmy Biden went to the equivalent of Macy's at home. It was Strawbridge and Clothier. And there was a display tree, had all the tinsel and the ornaments on it. And Jimmy said, this is December 23rd. And Jimmy said to the clerk, I want to buy that tree. And the clerk looked at him and said, sir, you can't buy that tree. That's our display tree. No, you can't buy the tree. And Jimmy said, I am going to buy that expletive tree. And he bought the tree, or left the store with the tree. And he came into St. Francis Hospital, the revolving doors in the hospital, and he's dragging this Christmas tree, and there's tinsels, spread all over. And the nurses and the administration said, sir, you can't bring that tree into you can't bring a tree into the hospital. And the boys had just got out of intensive care. And my brother said, watch me. And the nurses realized, God love them, that it was for the little Biden boys. And everybody kind of turned and said, and watched as Jimmy took the tree up in the room and set it. And that was on December 23rd, that was the only light that we saw in that room.
You also go into how not only Nelia was beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous on the outside, but also how beautiful she was on the inside. How, despite her beauty and her gifts as a person, she always tried to make other people comfortable, and that you considered her to be your partner, your sister.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, first of all, she was a role model for me. My brother and I had a very close relationship. I did with my other brothers also. And so this young woman coming into this relationship with a brother who could be obnoxious, and then my sister can do this, and my sister's this, and Joe gets very excited about anybody that he loves, and they're the best thing in the whole world. And what Nelia did wisely is to embrace it. She said, basically, if Joe loves Valerie this much, I'm going to love Valerie this much. And we became friends. And I watched her. I knew she was that much older than I. And I watched her in awe, really, of how she handled me, the kid sister, who was the tag-along, and now is no longer number one. Nelia's number one. And she brought me in and held me close. And we had one thing that was common. I mean, the biggest thing was that we both loved my brother. And we wanted to have a close relationship. And I said to myself that whenever my other brothers, Jimmy or Frankie, were they ever to get married, I wanted to treat my future sister-in-laws the same way, with the same grace and respect and love that Nelia treated me. So she trained me to know how to embrace and love Jill and Sarah as much as I do.